Let me start by saying I never meant to fall in love with my enemy. I meant to destroy him, slowly, thoroughly, with spreadsheets. My name is Lin Mo. I'm 26 years old, and I have the emotional intelligence of a concussed goldfish. My ex-boyfriend, Zhang Wei, left me for a man named Gu Chen 3 months ago. Gu Chen is tall, rich, impossibly handsome, and apparently has a personality made entirely of expensive cologne and smug silence. He also stole my company's biggest client on the same day he stole my boyfriend, which I felt was just poor planning on the universe's part. Like, pick a lane, you know? So I did what any sane, well-adjusted adult would do. I made a revenge plan. Not just any revenge plan, a 12-page, color-coded, SWOT-analyzed seduction and destruction manifesto. Step 1, become irresistible. Step 2, seduce Gu Chen. Step 3, make him fall desperately in love with me. Step 4, dump him so publicly and spectacularly that he never recovers, and also Zhang Wei chokes on his own jealousy and dies. Metaphorically, I'm not a monster. The problem with perfect plans is that they require perfect execution, and I, Lin Mo, am about as perfect as a microwave dinner left in the oven for 3 hours.
It started at a charity gala I bribed my way into. I wore a burgundy suit 2 sizes too tight, because I'd read somewhere that villain energy is best served with cleavage. Not that I have cleavage. I have what my mother calls a generous pectoral situation. Same energy. Gu Chen was standing by the bar, alone, looking like a funeral director who'd accidentally wandered into a wedding. Black suit, black tie, black soul. He was sipping whiskey and radiating the kind of stillness that usually precedes either a murder or a really awkward elevator ride. I approached with what I believed was smoldering confidence. Later, my friend Wei Wei told me I walked like a praying mantis that had just discovered high heels. Gu Chen, I said, sliding into the space beside him. My voice came out slightly breathier than intended. I'd been practicing in the mirror. He looked at me, then through me, then at a point somewhere behind my left ear, as if I were a mildly interesting piece of modern art he'd already decided not to buy. "Lin Mo," he said, "you're wearing too much cologne." That was it. That was the entire conversation. He turned and walked away. I stood there, mouth open, while a waiter politely asked if I wanted to move because I was blocking the champagne station. My revenge plan had just been murdered in its own bed. I wanted to cry. I wanted to scream. I wanted to set his whiskey on fire with my mind. Instead, I went home and added a step 2A. Do not be a disaster. The second attempt happened at his office. I'd learned he worked late on Wednesdays, so I showed up with a folder of fake documents and a smile that said competent professional instead of deranged stalker. Progress. "I have a business proposition," I announced, marching into his office uninvited. His assistant didn't stop me because I'd bribed her with a box of macarons. Small victories. Gu Chen looked up from his desk. For the first time, I saw something other than glacial indifference. It was confusion. Honestly, I'll take it.
"You're wearing a different suit," he said. "I own more than one, shockingly." I sat down across from him without waiting for permission. "I want to work with you. A partnership. Our companies merge on a small project, we make a lot of money, and then..." I realized I was about to say, "and then I destroy your entire life," so I pivoted. "Then we become very rich friends." He stared at me for a long, uncomfortable moment. Then he did something I didn't expect. He laughed. It wasn't a nice laugh. It was a low, dry, almost involuntary sound, like a rusty gate being forced open. "You hate me," he said. "Why would I trust you?" "Because I'm a terrible liar, and you know exactly what I'm thinking at all times." I leaned forward. "And because my proposal is actually good. Read it." He read it. I watched his eyebrows do a slow, confused dance. By the end, he was frowning at the last page like it had personally offended his ancestors. "This is good," he admitted, sounding annoyed about it. "I know. Why are you helping me? You should want me bankrupt." I shrugged, trying to look mysterious instead of like a man whose entire revenge plan hinged on this moment. Maybe I've changed my mind. Maybe I've realized you're not the villain I thought you were. He didn't believe me, I could tell, but he nodded anyway, because Gu Chen's fatal flaw, and I would come to learn many of them, was that he couldn't resist a challenge. The project took 6 weeks. 6 weeks of late nights, shared takeout, and me slowly losing my mind. See, here's the thing about seducing someone for revenge. It's very hard to maintain your hatred when you discover your enemy has a secret weakness for terrible reality TV. Gu Chen, the Ice King of Shanghai's business world, watched Love is Blind religiously. He had opinions, strong ones. "Jessica was clearly in the wrong," he said one night, chopsticks frozen halfway to his mouth. We were eating noodles at 2 in the morning, surrounded by spreadsheets. She told Cameron she wanted commitment, then panicked the second he showed up with a key to her apartment. That's not mixed signals. That's a semaphore disaster. I stared at him. "You have feelings." He glanced at me, and for just a second, his guard dropped. I saw exhaustion, loneliness, and something else. Something more. "I have many feelings," he said quietly. "I simply don't show them to people who might use them against me." That should have been my cue to feel guilty. Instead, I felt something far worse. Genuine affection. It bloomed in my chest like a weed I couldn't kill. I made a mental note to update my revenge plan to step 3. Stop falling for your own trap, you idiot. The 3rd week, I found out the truth. Not from Gu Chen. From Zhang Wei, my ex, who showed up at my apartment drunk and crying. "You need to know," he slurred, leaning against my doorframe. "Gu Chen didn't steal me. I went to him. I lied to you." I should have slammed the door. Instead, I let him in, because apparently I hate myself. Zhang Wei confessed everything. He'd been embezzling from my company for months. Gu Chen found out and confronted him. Zhang Wei, desperate, offered to leave me in exchange for silence. He told Gu Chen I was toxic, that I'd been cheating, that I didn't care about anyone. And Gu Chen, stupid, honorable, emotionally constipated Gu Chen, believed him. He agreed to the deal because he thought he was protecting me from a man who didn't deserve me. He took the client and the boyfriend because Zhang Wei offered them. But he never touched Zhang Wei. They never dated. It was all a lie. "I'm sorry," Zhang Wei whispered, and I believed him. I also kicked him out, called him a cab, and then sat on my kitchen floor for an hour, questioning every decision I'd ever made. I had built an entire revenge plan on false assumptions. Gu Chen wasn't my enemy. He was the idiot who'd taken a bullet for me without even introducing himself. The next morning, I showed up at Gu Chen's apartment. I didn't knock. I used the emergency key his assistant had given me, for work purposes. She really loved those macarons. He was in the kitchen, barefoot, wearing a faded t-shirt that said, "I'm not as think as you drunk I am." His hair was a disaster. He looked at me like I was a hallucination. Lin Mo. It's 6 a.m. I know. I walked over and sat on his kitchen counter, which was a power move I'd always wanted to try. Zhang Wei came to my apartment last night. He told me everything. Gu Chen went very still. His jaw tightened. I see. You believed him. When he said I was a monster, you believed him. And you made a deal to protect me from myself. I paused. That's either the dumbest thing anyone's ever done, or the kindest. I haven't decided which. He didn't deny it. He just stood there, looking at his feet, and said, "I didn't know how to tell you. I'd already taken the client. I'd already let you hate me. By the time I realized my mistake, it was too late to fix anything without sounding like I was making excuses. So, you just let me believe you were a villain? You seem to enjoy hating me," he said, and there was a ghost of a smile on his face. "It gave you purpose." I wanted to be angry. I wanted to scream. Instead, I laughed. It came out wet and unhinged, and I had to wipe my eyes with the back of my hand. "I had a revenge plan," I said. 12 pages, color-coded. The final step was destroying your life in front of a live studio audience. He blinked. A live studio audience? I hadn't worked out the logistics yet. I hopped off the counter and stood in front of him. He was taller than me. I had to tilt my chin up to meet his eyes. "Here's the thing, Gu Chen. I don't want to destroy you anymore. I want to kiss you, and I want it to be really inconvenient for both of us." He looked at me for a long, terrifying moment. Then he cupped my face with both hands. His palms were warm and slightly calloused, and kissed me like he'd been waiting his entire life for permission. Afterward, we sat on his couch, still in our pajamas, his faded t-shirt, my ridiculous cat-covered lounge pants, and I told him everything. The revenge plan, the seduction attempts, the spreadsheet, the cologne incident. "I thought you smelled fine," he said, which was the closest he'd ever come to a compliment. "You said I wore too much cologne." I was lying. I was attracted to you from the first night, and I didn't know how to handle it, so I said the meanest thing I could think of. He paused. "I'm not good at feelings." Yeah, I agreed. I noticed. We spent the rest of the day in a state of confused, exhausted bliss. He made me breakfast, I made fun of his reality TV opinions. He admitted he'd kept the fake documents I'd brought to his office because my handwriting was oddly endearing. I admitted I'd named my revenge plan Project Hot Villain, and that the password was still GuChenSucks123. "You need better security," he said. "You need better taste in boyfriends. First Zhang Wei, now me? Tragic." He kissed me again, which I decided was his version of laughter. 2 months later, we went public. Zhang Wei had been arrested for embezzlement. Not by us, but by his own stupidity. Gu Chen and I merged our companies for real. No fake revenge plans attached. We held a joint press conference where I accidentally called him my sweet, emotionally repressed disaster on live television, and he didn't even flinch. My revenge plan sits in a drawer in my home office. I keep it as a souvenir. Sometimes I pull it out and laugh at my own handwriting. Step 4 originally said, dump him in a dramatic public setting, preferably with confetti. I've crossed it out and written, marry him instead, but make him propose first, so I win. He hasn't proposed yet, but last week, he installed a second toothbrush in his bathroom without being asked. In Gu Chen language, that's practically a declaration of undying love. So that's the story. I set out to destroy my enemy and accidentally fell in love with him. My revenge plan failed spectacularly. And honestly, I've never been happier to lose.